The galaxy's vibrant heartbeat faltered as a silent killer emerged from the forgotten depths of an ancient world. Known only as the Devourer, this virus defied comprehension, sweeping across advanced civilizations with terrifying speed. Entire planets went dark, their once bright cities now shadowed ruins echoing with the stillness of extinction. And yet, amidst the chaos, humanity stood untouched, a mystery that the galaxy's survivors couldn't ignore. Dr. Ravages, a leading xenovirologist aboard the research vessel Stellar Dawn, stared at the transmission screens filled with desperate pleas from alien ambassadors. The Krell, the Yodorans, even the enigmatic Selenari, all had fallen prey to the unstoppable plague. But Earth's colonies thrived, their people immune, their cities alive with a resilience the galaxy couldn't fathom. Why? The question burned brighter than the collapsing stars. Elara was no stranger to pressure. Born on the Mars colonies, she'd made her career chasing anomalies, piecing together the universe's puzzles one strand of DNA at a time. But this was no ordinary puzzle. It was the galaxy's survival hanging by a thread. "Why us?" she murmured, her voice barely audible over the hum of the lab's equipment. "Why are we immune?" Beside her, Commander Jace Merrick, a battle-hardened officer with an irreverent streak that belied his sharp mind, leaned against the console. "Maybe we're just too stubborn to die," he quipped, though his expression was far from light-hearted. He, like everyone else on the Stellar Dawn, knew the stakes: find the answer or watch the galaxy crumble. A sharp tone interrupted their thoughts, a priority communication from the Galactic Council. The figure of High Ambassador Tyran, his once brilliant plumage dulled by stress, appeared on the main holoscreen. "Dr. Voss, Commander Merrick," Tyran began, his voice heavy with desperation. "Your species holds the key to salvation. We beg you, share whatever secrets you possess before it's too late." Elara's fingers tightened around the edge of the console. "Ambassador, we're working tirelessly, but we need samples from infected species to isolate the virus's behavior. If we can," Tyran interrupted, his voice rising. "There's no time. The Selenari homeworld collapsed yesterday. Millions gone in a heartbeat. Humanity cannot stand idly by while the galaxy falls." Jace stepped forward, his presence commanding even through the screen. "Ambassador, no one's standing idly by. But panicking won't solve this. Let us do our jobs." Tyran hesitated, his holographic image flickering. "Very well. But the Council expects results soon." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. Elara sighed, rubbing her temples. "He's not wrong. Time isn't on our side." She glanced at the data streams on her monitors, their endless numbers and graphs refusing to reveal the secret humanity carried. Somewhere in the depths of their DNA lay the answer, a hidden immunity that had eluded even the galaxy's most advanced species. The lab door slid open, and a young researcher rushed in, his face pale. "Dr. Voss, you need to see this." He handed her a datapad displaying a new analysis. "It's the virus's structure. It's targeting specific proteins found in every species we've analyzed, except humans." Elara's eyes widened. "That's impossible. Every sentient species shares some level of biochemical similarity. What's different about us?" The researcher hesitated. "It might be tied to something ancient. Something from Earth's evolutionary history." Jace leaned over her shoulder. "So, what you're saying is, humanity's survival is thanks to some freak genetic lottery?" "Not a lottery," Elara said softly, her mind racing. "A legacy." She straightened, determination hardening her features. "We need to return to Earth. If our immunity is tied to our origins, the answer lies there." Jace grinned. "Back to the birthplace of humanity. This is going to be one hell of a homecoming." The Stellar Dawn streaked through hyperspace, its engines pulsing with relentless energy as it hurtled toward Earth. Elara Voss stood in the observation bay, watching the swirling kaleidoscope of hyperspace distortions. Her mind churned, each thought tangled in the urgency of their mission. Somewhere within humanity's genetic code lay the key to halting the plague. But where? And would they uncover it in time? Jace Merrick joined her, his reflection sharp against the window's glass. "You've been staring out here for hours," he said, his tone lighter than the weight in the room. "Hoping the answers will just materialize?" Elara smirked faintly, not taking her eyes off the view. "If only it were that simple. I just keep thinking, what if we're wrong? What if there's no immunity gene? What if it's sheer luck? Luck doesn't explain why Earth's colonies are thriving while the galaxy burns," Jace countered. "You've got this document. If anyone can crack this, it's you." Before Elara could respond, the ship jolted violently, the lights flickering as alarms blared across the decks. "What now?" Jace muttered, already sprinting toward the bridge with Elara close behind. Captain Arden, a seasoned officer with sharp instincts, was barking orders at the crew. "Report," she demanded. "Unknown vessel just dropped out of hyperspace," an ensign replied. "It's a Krellian warship. They're hailing us." "Krellians?" Jace said, stepping to the center of the bridge. "Weren't they hit hardest by the plague? Why would they be out here?" "Only one way to find out," Arden said grimly. "Put them on screen." The holoscreen lit up with the image of a gaunt Krellian commander, his once vivid scales dull and lifeless. "Human vessel," he rasped, his voice strained. "You will surrender immediately. Your immunity is the galaxy's last hope, and we cannot allow it to remain unchecked." Jace raised an eyebrow. "Unchecked? We're literally trying to save everyone, including you." The Krellian's eyes narrowed. "Your kind cannot be trusted. History has proven that humanity thrives where others fall. It is no coincidence that you stand while we perish. You will come with us, willingly or not." Elara stepped forward. "If you detain us, you'll doom the galaxy. We need access to Earth's resources and data to find a cure." The Krellian's gaze didn't waver. "Perhaps. But if we cannot trust your intentions, what hope do we have?" Captain Arden crossed her arms. "If you fire on us, you'll destroy the only chance your people have. Is that a risk you're willing to take?" The Krellian hesitated, uncertainty flickering in his expression. But before he could respond, the Stellar Dawn's sensors blared a new warning. Another ship had arrived, this time, a massive Yodaran cruiser. The Yodarans were known for their unyielding sense of justice, and their commander's voice thundered through the comms. "Krellian vessel, stand down. Humanity's immunity may be the only salvation for us all. Interference will not be tolerated." The tension in the bridge thickened as the two alien ships turned their weapons toward each other, both determined to claim the Stellar Dawn as their prize, or protect it, depending on perspective. Elara felt the weight of countless lives pressing down on her shoulders. One wrong move, and everything could fall apart. "Options?" Captain Arden asked, her voice low. Elara scanned the bridge. "We need to prove we're not the enemy. If the Krellians and Yodarans believe we're working for their survival, they might let us continue." Jace tilted his head. "And how do we do that without getting blasted into cosmic dust?" Elara's eyes lit up with an idea. "The virus! We can transmit our preliminary findings to both ships. It'll show we're making progress and buy us time." Captain Arden nodded. "Do it. And get ready to move if they don't bite." The data packets were transmitted, and for agonizing moments, the bridge held its collective breath. The Krellian commander finally spoke. "Your research, it's incomplete, but it shows promise. I will not interfere, for now." The Yodaran commander added, "We will monitor your progress, humans. If you falter, we will intervene." As both ships backed off, the Stellar Dawn continued its journey, but the stakes had risen even higher. The galaxy's eyes were now firmly fixed on humanity's next move. In her lab, Elara pored over Earth's genetic history, tracing back through millennia of evolution. Each discovery felt like a step closer to the truth, but something still eluded her. She needed inspiration, something beyond data and analysis. Jace found her slumped over a console, exhaustion written across her face. "Come on, document. You've been at this nonstop. Take a break." "I can't," Elara murmured. "We're so close, Jace. I can feel it. There's something ancient about this immunity. Something primal. Jace pulled up a chair. Primal, huh? Like caveman-level primal? Elara blinked, sitting upright. That's it. Caveman. Our species survived countless diseases by adapting. It's not just genetics, it's history. The answer isn't just in the DNA, it's in how we've evolved to resist and overcome. Jace grinned. So, we need our biological archives. Good thing we're almost home. For the first time in days, hope flickered in Elara's eyes. They weren't just chasing a cure, they were racing toward a revelation that could reshape the galaxy's understanding of humanity itself. The tension on the stellar dawn reached a breaking point. The Krellian and Yodaran warships were no longer content to remain passive observers. Each second that passed was filled with the hum of weapons charging and the distant growl of engines approaching from both sides. In the heart of the battle, Captain Arden paced the bridge, her eyes scanning multiple screens that displayed the standoff between the warring ships. Jace stood by her, his fists clenched. Elara, still glued to her data, barely noticed the rising chaos around her. The communications console crackled to life. The Krellian commander's voice emerged, distorted and cold. Human vessel, your continued survival is a threat to the galaxy's balance. We will eliminate you before you bring further ruin. The Yodaran commander followed. Your immunity is a beacon of hope, but your recklessness has endangered more lives than you've saved. Captain Arden clenched her jaw. This isn't about balance or survival, it's about fear. We're all trapped by our own histories. Humanity isn't here to conquer or destroy. We've seen what happens when we divide. Elara glanced up, her brow furrowed. They're not listening, Captain. We need to show them something else. Something no warship can fight. Before anyone could respond, a sharp alarm rang through the bridge. The Yodaran cruiser was closing in rapidly, weapons locked and ready. The Krellian ship wasn't far behind. The entire galaxy had converged on the stellar dawn, each faction unwilling to back down. This is it, Jace muttered, gripping the edge of the console. We've got minutes, maybe seconds, before they open fire. Elara tapped into the ship's systems, accessing the last remnants of humanity's ancient data, genealogical archives that had been stored for millennia. She found what she was searching for, early cave drawings depicting primitive humans thriving amidst disease, adapting to their environment. The plague wiped out the powerful, the elite, but it couldn't touch those who adapted, Elara said, her voice trembling. We've spent centuries surviving because we don't give up. We evolve. Captain Arden stepped closer, watching the images flicker on the screen. And now they're using that survival instinct to destroy us. How do we convince them otherwise? Elara pointed to the files. We show them how humanity survived. It wasn't brute strength or technology, it was the will to live, the ability to adapt. If we can communicate that, maybe we can change the way they see us. Jace hesitated. But they're not exactly receptive right now. Arden gave a grim nod. Then we force them to listen. In that instant, Captain Arden made a decision. Transmit the data. Every ancient survival story, every trace of humanity's resilience. Flood their comms. Let them see what we've been through. Elara activated the transmission, broadcasting the archived footage of ancient humans, living alongside dangers far greater than any war they could have waged. The Krellian and Yodaran commanders received the images simultaneously, their once hostile expressions flickering into a mixture of confusion and doubt. Survivors, not conquerors, Elara said softly, watching the screen. Maybe they'll understand now. Maybe we're not what they thought. Seconds stretched into eternity as the transmission completed. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, a voice cut through the void. Krellian Commander, Yodaran Commander, listen to me. The voices of both alien leaders blared through the comms. Human vessel, this is unprecedented. What trick are you playing? I'm not playing, Elara said, stepping forward. These images aren't a trick. They're a record of what we are, what we've always been. We adapt, we survive, not by force but by resilience. The Krellian commander growled. And why should we believe this now? Jace's voice chimed in, calm but firm. Because we're here. We've been here, surviving while you were fighting among yourselves. The plague didn't destroy humanity, it made us stronger. We're not your enemy. We're proof that sometimes survival comes not from power, but from something deeper. There was silence again. The Yoderan commander spoke, his tone softer now. Perhaps we've misjudged you. Humans, you have endured. Captain Arden spoke next. This isn't about who's stronger or who's right. It's about survival for all of us. If you destroy us, you destroy the one chance the galaxy has at healing. A long pause stretched across the bridge. The warships continued to drift closer, the tension reaching a boiling point. Then, slowly, the Krellian commander broke the silence. Very well. We will allow you to continue your mission. But know this, we will be watching. The Yoderan commander followed. We will see if your humanity's survival instincts hold true. With that, the warships retreated, vanishing back into hyperspace, leaving the stellar dawn to drift in the quiet aftermath. Elara slumped into her chair, exhaustion washing over her. Jace placed a hand on her shoulder. We bought some time, he said quietly. But they're not gone yet. Captain Arden took a deep breath. And neither is the mission. As they returned to their respective duties, the weight of their fragile survival bore down on them. The ancient virus had indeed wiped out countless civilizations, but it had spared one, humanity. And now, it was up to them to prove that survival wasn't just chance. It was something far greater than they could have imagined. The crew of the Stellar Dawn sat in the quiet aftermath of the confrontation, their minds still processing the events that had unfolded. The galaxy's fate had been on the brink of destruction, yet humanity had managed to avoid the death sentence that had claimed so many others. Now they carried a newfound weight, the responsibility of proving to the galaxy that survival wasn't just about outlasting, but about adapting, learning, and evolving. Captain Arden stared out at the void of space, the distant stars shining dimly. She had always believed in humanity's resilience, but seeing it put to the test in such a catastrophic way had shifted her understanding of what it truly meant to survive. Elara broke the silence, her voice steady but reflective. We've shown them our past. But it's not enough to remind them of who we were. We need to show them who we are becoming. Jace leaned forward, rubbing his temples. That's easier said than done. They'll keep watching, waiting for us to falter. Arden turned to face them both. And that's exactly why we need to embrace this chance we've been given. We've survived the plague because we didn't give in to fear. We adapted. And now, the galaxy needs to see that in us. Elara nodded. It's not just about surviving anymore. We need to thrive. To show them that humanity's strength lies in our ability to endure and change. Days passed, and the Stellar Dawn continued its mission, navigating through the unknown. They couldn't erase the suspicion that loomed in the minds of the Krellian and Yoderan leaders, but they could choose how they responded. The crew began exploring uncharted territories, venturing into regions once believed too dangerous or inhospitable. One of those territories was a dying star system, its planets consumed by radiation and chaos. Jace, Elara, and Captain Arden stood together, gazing at the barren landscape. The environment was harsh, but Jace felt the pulse of something familiar. This might be our chance. Elara examined the data streams, her eyes lighting up with recognition. There's something here. Something buried beneath the surface. Arden glanced at them. The universe isn't just trying to erase us, it's giving us new challenges. Let's see what we can do with them. They worked tirelessly, mining the radiation-ravaged planet for resources, rebuilding what little they had left. With each passing day, they began to forge something new, an alliance of unlikely survivors who had no choice but to adapt. Months later, a transmission came through from a distant alien vessel, far beyond the borders of human space. It was from the Krellians and Yoderans, requesting a meeting. They had seen humanity's evolution, the new tools, the new ideas, and the willingness to adapt. We didn't believe it at first, the Krellian commander said. But now we see. You're not what we thought. Perhaps we misjudged you. The Yoderin voice followed. Your survival wasn't blind luck. It was born of purpose. Captain Arden spoke calmly, but with conviction. And we'll continue to prove it. The galaxy can heal, but only if we work together. The old enemies, once bound by mistrust and war, now approached the table with different eyes. It wasn't dominance or destruction that drove humanity anymore. It was collaboration, resilience, and the willingness to adapt. As the stellar dawn continued its journey, the crew knew they had found their path. They hadn't just survived the plague, they had begun to thrive. And in that quiet triumph, they held on to the belief that humanity's future, though uncertain, was one they would face with courage, resourcefulness, and a newfound hope.